Hey, happy National Day everyone. Now, by the time this video is out, minimally it's already National Day or at least 1-2 days after National Day because it all depends on how fast I edit this video. Because after close to 80 or even like 84, 85 videos, I'm finally going to edit our own video for the first time. So if it's good or if it's bad, I hope to get your kind comments on how we can improve, okay? So pardon me if certain graphics doesn't look good or maybe the subtitles is a bit off. So back to the video. I just want to talk a little bit about National Day very quickly. I'm not too sure how many of you guys shares the same sentiments as I do, but I feel that this year's National Day a little bit got not much hype or vibes leading up to the day itself. Like, I'm not sure is it because of the location being, or rather the NDP is being held at Sports Hub itself, which means that you don't see the lights of the Red Lions, you don't see the lights of the fighter jets, because very often when you hear fighter jet sounds, it always feels like it's leading up to NDP, but this year it's absolutely silent. Of course, you still got your fireworks here and there, but it just feels very different. And then the theme song also, I think only last week then I heard it for the first time. Every single year, it's always June or July, you start to ramp it up, you start to hear on the radio every time, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys also share the same sentiments again, that every single year's National Day theme feels a bit off at the start, but once you keep hearing it on the radio, then you start to kind of like it, right? Yeah, that's like last year's, I think it's Here We Are. I felt that it was a bit slow and it was a bit sad. Then slowly when coming close to National Day, hey, not bad leh. Oh, but okay, anyway, so that is National Day. I wish everyone a happy National Day, whether you're in Singapore or whether you're overseas, just enjoy our nation's birthday. Okay, so what do we have for our NDP edition today? It's our launch of not second half of 2026. It's not our launch of 2026. It is our launch of the decade, which means that if I pit it against very profitable ones or highly sought after ones in the past 10 years like Tampines Treasure, Park Esta, Park Clementi's, Jadescape, Sterling Residences, I put this above all of them. That's how good this is. And for those of you guys who have been following my channel long enough, it's not too difficult to second guess where exactly this is, because this is going to be one of the most sought after or oversubscribed project in a long time. That's Thomson Reserve. Disclaimer, whatever I share does not constitute financial advice. It is solely based on my opinion on what is right or wrong. So please do your own due diligence. If you're liking the content so far, please hit the like and subscribe button, as your simple gesture will help a lot with the YouTube algorithm. If you are interested to find out more about property related matters, please find all the social media handles I am on, or you can just directly reach out to me on WhatsApp. Separately, I have also set up a Telegram group at the start of the year so that we can have a discussion that we as agents are not allowed to do so online, which is to talk shit. So if you are interested to get into a community that talks about everything under the sun about property, please scan the QR code, or for the boomers out there, I have pasted the link in my description. We're going to close the group invitation in probably a month or 2 times, so head over and I will see you there. Now back to the video. Okay, so just some context about Thomson Reserve itself. If you're in the Thomson neighborhood, I think it was about 6, 7, 8 years ago, I was looking at the actual Thomson view, which was like super old. I was looking for it because of schooling purposes. At the time, we originally wanted to put St. Nicholas Girls' School, and then got our second child, which is a boy, so we decided to put a co-ed school. And then we were thinking, should we try for Ai Tong? And then my wife didn't quite like the neighborhood for God knows what reason. So at that time, we were looking at Thomson View itself, good size. I think it was about 3 bedrooms or something like that, 2,000 square feet, amazing views, but it was tad too old. Then we hopped over to the Flame Tree Park, the freehold one, equally as old, but it's a bit more well maintained. And the funny thing is, recently I was doing a bit of research about Flame Tree and trying to understand the transaction data that is in the Thomson neighborhood itself, and I realized that the world has already made a full circle. because the property that I visited in 2018 or 2019 has already been sold just recently. I think they bought at close to about 2.2, sold at about 3.3. So congratulations to the owner. You have made close to $1.1 million. I remember the unit very clearly needs a lot of renovation, but it was very good space. But hey, as I mentioned, it's already 7-8 years, a full circle already. Anyway, so then we decided to ultimately move to the Bukit Timah areas for schooling purposes, and the rest is history. So for those of you guys who are new to the channel, we have been doing a lot of videos about Thomson Reserve dating back to the day that they announced the successful EnBloc sale to the UL consortium, which compromises of Singland, I think, and Capital Land. Ever since then, we did 4 different videos. We had, our first one was 31st December 2024. Right, then 1 year after that, we did a Walk With Me series. We called it Manifesting Thomson View Part 1, where we walked the grounds for those of you guys who are not very familiar with the neighborhood to show you what Thomson Reserve has to offer in terms of convenience, amenities, so on and so forth. And then we have some other videos here and there, because in the next 1-2 months, you will see plenty of videos coming from our channel talking about what we feel is not only the launch of the year, as I mentioned, it's going to be the launch of the decade. And today's video is going to be a little bit shorter. I will just cover about the general aspect of why I think that this is the launch of the year, because we don't have much materials to work on. We only have the artist impression. We have the attributes of the development itself. That one, we already know it from day one. And based on the artist impression that we're getting so far, is exactly what we have come to expect. A large development, looks exactly like Pine Tree in my honest opinion, but I'll come to that in a very, very short while. Now, before I start on this, I just want to talk a little bit about what I've been hearing online in regards to Thomson Reserve, and that is they are pitting the likes of Thomson Reserve, let's say at 2,800, 2,900 per square foot.
You might as well buy a CCR property like Dunyan House or Union Square, because the gap between the CCR and LCR is very narrow, so the value is with the CCR.
Really? Do you think that makes sense? Because from the price point, you are absolutely right. I have no arguments with that. I feel that that is spot on, but you are not looking at the exit. Who is going to be buying your property at this future price that you hope that you will transact in the next 4 or 5 years? You buy 2.8, 2.9, 3,000, 3,300, 4. Who exactly is buying? Because if your price is good, but your exit strategy is a problem, then that becomes a problem, because there are different spots in Singapore. Okay, anyway, maybe more on that later on. So they even use examples like Leedon Green, but I want to touch on the fact that if, let's say, a Leedon Green, for example, is very similar to the likes of Dunyan House, you need to understand who is your target audience. Okay, today I'm not going to talk too much about that, but for Leedon Green, it's very simple. It is anchored down by Nanyang Primary School. It doesn't mean everyone goes for the property because of the school, but it's a good anchoring point. The surrounding neighborhood itself is really people of different caliber. So those are not like the top 1%, they are like top 0.1%, right? So the properties there are all huge. So the vibes there are very different. So the people there are very, very different. So you need to understand who exactly is going to buy from you like Leedon Green. Because if you look at Leedon Green case study, which many of them don't share, is they all bought at the per square foot, I think was 2,627 PSF for the 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom. But when it goes to the resale market, their PSF kind of diverged. The 2-bedrooms was like, rather is struggling to cross 2,009, 3,000 PSF, while the 3 and 4 bedrooms can hit 3,400, 3,500 per square foot. Now, why is that so? It's very important to understand. It's really all about your neighborhood, your target audience, who exactly is buying. Then you just need to buy the property that kind of caters to them. And Leedon Green, as I mentioned, the 2 bedrooms hasn't been performing that well. 3 and 4 is still doing very well. So it's not so much just about, oh, I buy CCR at this price, it's attractive. It's really what you buy and what is your target audience. Anyway, back to that, you talk about CCR versus LCR, that's a fact. Price very narrow. It could be an opportunity in CCR, but this LCR, which is Thomson Reserve, the exit is going to be tremendous, which I'll cover in this video. So if you want to compare, come on, you cannot compare. right? So for the first time in a long time, usually for new launches, I won't usually encourage to buy 2 bedrooms because I feel the 2 bedrooms is like the new 1 bedrooms. People these days are struggling to sell the 2 bedrooms, which means that 2 bedrooms you can actually buy a better 3 bedroom OCL, even a 4 bedroom OCL. Resale properties and get better profits down the road. But for the first time, I would say that Thomson Reserve is the only one where we can buy anything at all at a fair price and it's good to go, which means that 2 bedroom, I would say just buy because it's in a spot where I have said this many times in our video that there's a lot of locals who want to live in the neighborhood itself. And one example is the East Coast. A lot of people coming from the east side want to move there. Just a lot of people want to go to the East Coast. The second spot is River Valley, and the third spot is Thomson. And then there's also spots that a lot of people don't like to go to. Of course, that is number one is the Central Business District. That one is known to everyone already. And number two is Pasir Panjang. Okay, so what do I mean by that? It's like you will never ever hear anyone saying, I sold my HDB, I sold my property, and I'm going to Pasir Panjang, or I aspire to go Pasir Panjang. It just doesn't happen very, very often. Maybe you poll a room of 10, maybe only 1 or even 0 want to go to Pasir Panjang. So I'm not going to share in this episode why these neighborhoods are not so sought after. I'll leave it for another episode. But the third area that a lot of people somehow do not want to move to, despite the location being quite fantastic and is being flanked by 2 districts that is quite popular, and that is Balestier. Right? So now you come to realization, right? Balestier is being flanked by Toa Payoh and Novena Newton, which is quite in demand, quite sought after. Of course, Toa Payoh is very, very sought after, but just nobody wants to go to the Balestier, right? Somehow, right? None of your colleagues, none of your friends, none of your relatives ever say that I want or I aspire to stay in Balestier. Just no one wants to go there. Why? I will share in another episode, okay? So these kind of spots are places that people don't want to go. The 3 spots that a lot of people want to go, usually you will see a lot of first timers, you see a lot of upgraders, you see a lot of downgraders, and these districts usually has very healthy demand aside from the OCR areas in the past 4 or 5 years. And because of that, I would say Thomson Reserve, you can buy almost any units at a fair price and you're good to go long. Anything also can buy, and I usually don't do that, right? Of course, depending on price, what price exactly it is, I will share with you guys in a while what kind of numbers am I stress testing, so that you know whatever price that you're entering, whether is it high or is it low, is it a good deal or it's you just overpaying. Now, why is Thomson Reserve gonna be a sellout, or why we see it as our launch of the decade? Very simple. So number one is it's a mega development, and in the Thomson area, there's really hardly any mega developments except I think Faber Hills, but Faber Hills is super old already. I think it's trying for EnBloc. We are the only large floor. Other than that, we are the only mega development that is fairly new. Everything else are all quite small, like Thomson 3 is fairly small, Thomson Grand is decent, the impression is quite small. Then we are the only mega development in this area that is fairly new, as I mentioned. So this is already a plus point, and you look through the history of properties in Singapore, statistically, is all mega developments don't lose money unless the price is too high, with the exception of Normanton Park. But Normanton Park is another tricky one that I think that I want to share in another video. I kind of understand what's the problem with Normanton Park, but Normanton Park is the exception. Okay, so second point, it's of course right opposite shopping mall. If you look at the past 10 years or so, like the likes of Park Clementi, Tampines Treasure, Park Esta, Jadescape, they are all kind of considered mega developments, but all of them has some flaws here and there. Like Park Clementi is not very, very close to the MRT. Jadescape, okay, but it's like still a bit of a walk. And then you have, let's say, Tampines Treasure, you're not close to the MRT, but it's a mega development. Again, a lot of people enjoy the facilities, so on and so forth. But Thomson Reserve has literally everything at doorstep. Which brings me to my next point is shopping mall. You have Thomson Plaza just right opposite. That is literally sheltered walkway from the entrance, very likely to the basement of the MRT station, and you hop straight up to not only the shopping mall, but also to the eateries also. So if it's rain or shine, you can get to the spots that you want to have your food, you want to buy your groceries, everything, all at doorstep now. And then of course, it is right smack beside the MRT. Of course, the development is very big. If you are closer to the second exit is where the premium block is, then that one is a little bit different. Then the next up, it's really in a very sought after RCL location. Thomson is really convenient because it is a short drive to medical hubs, it's also a short drive to Orchard, it's a short drive to the city central. And then you are very close to different parks. You have MacRitchie, you have Bishan Park, you have a lot of things. Of course, you also have Ai Tong Primary School, which is a good anchor also. And if you look at the exit strategy or the target audiences for Thomson Reserve, it's very clear you're going to get plenty of HDB upgraders coming up from the north. They wouldn't mind coming down because the Thomson Eastern Line by default already have limited supply. That's why I feel they created the Lentor Township and a little bit of the Springleaf, the Mandai area. That's why the Thomson Eastern Line really don't have much options to begin with. Then of course Lentor side there already supplement it. There's really plenty of people who want to move from the north coming downwards. Maybe people staying in Yishun, Yio Chu Kang, Ang Mo Kio, Bishan. It's a very natural upgrade. Especially you have amazing facilities and all the amenities at doorstep. And of course, as I mentioned, big developments, mega-sized development, there's only a handful of them, which is Faber Hills and Thomson Reserve. So it's on its own, there's absolutely no competition. So the only competition you have is with your neighbors. So you have all these points. It really is the perfect recipe for a long-term growth. So like I said, even Sterling Residences is semi-walking distance to the MRT. It's fair, but you got no shopping mall, you got no amenities, you got no parks, you got no nothing. So all of them have some flaws here and there. Even Park Esta, you're opposite the MRT, you're close to quite a fair bit of amenities, but you don't have a shopping mall, you don't have school, you don't have this, you don't have that. But Thomson Reserve has everything. And of course, they also have shared the artist impression. If you take a look at it, it's quite nice. It's as I mentioned, what we have come to expect. UOL usually delivers up to a certain standard, right? And my first impression was, hey, the premium block looks exactly like Pine Tree Hill. So Pine Tree Hill is very nice. It's got the TOP already. So if this looks anything like Pine Tree Hill, then wow, I think we have one of the better products as far as UOL is concerned in a mega size development with all these amenities, all this whatnot ever. That's why it's going to be oversubscribed. So you can see from the looks of it, exactly like Pine Tree Hill, even the facade, the premium blocks looks like that. And then you have a lot of grounds, you have very nice pool area. We have the facilities all in the center. You have the blocks that is probably less premium, the one closer to the entrance itself. But overall, I think it's really close to what we have envisioned it to be. And that's a plus point now. So that's why Thomson Reserve has blown the QP framework out of the water. I also understand that if you are buying for own use, that location can be very, very important. And I also know some of you guys absolutely do not want to stay there. I'm really judging from a value perspective, someone who wants to buy for investment with no emotions. But of course, when emotion comes into play, we understand that certain parts of Singapore might appeal to you even better. Like for example, Westies, I think you want them to come to Thomson to stay. I think it's out of question. And Westies will have Lucerne Grand, which you can really watch out for it. And I think it's something that you can consider even from a value perspective. But someone that is really looking for pure investment, then Thomson Reserve on its own is really hard to miss, and we're just 2 months away. So what we are expecting next is just hopefully more unveiling of the floor plans for us to analyze and the price point. But I expect price point to be only shared like maybe 1-2 weeks before launch or preview, which is somewhere around the middle of September or earliest October. But on our own, we kind of have been using like the 2,500 to 3,000 PSF as a kind of range that they will launch at. Some people have said it will hit 3,002, 3,003, maybe. But I think realistically it's going to be 2,500 to 3,000 per square foot. Why? Because I think developers have a lot of units to sell. I know that there's not much competition, but on their end, they also have to play it right. They cannot start too high. Start too high, then the market impression of the product, once it doesn't turn out well, then there's a problem. So I think for the range, it will be 2,500, 3,000 per square foot. In our next video, I will share with you guys, even if I were to use 2008 or even 2009 or even 3,000 per square foot, do you know, even at 3,000 per square foot, I'm also telling my clients, if you are buying for own use, just go for it. Now, I just give you some simple context before I do it in the next video. For example, every Thomson property no older than 15, 20 years old is transacting their 3-bedroom premiums between $2.5 to $2.8 million. If Thomson Reserve 3-bedroom is 1,000 square feet for a 3 premium unit, and you put a 3,000 PSF on it, which means that it's $3 million, it means that from a per square foot is absolutely overpriced and insane. But you need to understand context. In a post-harmonized era, that entry level is very, very important, which means that at $3 million, I'm paying only a 200-300K higher than what the resale market is selling its 3 bedrooms at. Then is that very expensive? Because 3,000 per square foot, very likely, I tell my clients or consumers out there, is going to be the very high floor, unblocked facing. So what you have is a very, very nice view of the Macritchie Reservoir, the landed properties. So it's those kind of properties that in the future is going to be very easy to sell, but whether it's going to be making the most money is a different question altogether. But if you want to buy for own use, you want to stay in the next 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, what is 3,000 PSF for one of the best facing in Thomson Reserve? And you're only paying 200-300K higher than what is being transacted in the neighborhood itself. It's okay lah. If you're buying for investment, you're buying for value, then of course 3,000 per square foot would kind of defeat the purpose. I think you buy at 2,526 per square foot, imagine itself at 2,600 per square foot multiplied by 1,000 square feet is 2.6, which means that it's at the same price of a resale property in the neighborhood itself. So is it expensive? Again, I said per square foot looks expensive, but entry level is a different ballgame together, which we will explore in our next few episodes of Manifesting Thomson Reserve, our launch of the year or launch of the decade on 2 bedrooms, 3-bedroom entry levels, 4 bedrooms, because of course, once it hits a certain pricing, if they do sell at 3,002, 3,003, you need to understand what you're getting yourself into, because there will be a premium block, and the premium block will naturally cost more. Because to me, actually this whole entire year, for those of you guys who have been reaching out to me to hunt for value, most of the time we have been buying resale properties. But if you're looking at new launch, I have been telling you, might as well just wait for Thomson Reserve is around the corner, because it's very, very hard to ignore such a blockbuster coming out. Whether you can buy or not is a different story altogether, but 有买有希望，没买没希望. That's my logic. So if you guys are looking for value, please get yourself ready for Thomson Reserve. This is one of the blockbuster ones coming up. If you are unsure on your options out there as far as resale or new launch, you can always reach out to us. But I'm going to tell you, our answer is very clear. Unless you are Westie, new launch, if you ever do reach out to us for new launch, it's going to be Thomson Reserve. Otherwise, certain resale here and there might have better opportunity. We'll discuss on that privately. But this is really the National Day edition of what we think is going to be the launch of the year, launch of the decade. This will be the best seller in the future, the one with the easiest exit. And really, I've seen plenty of properties in the past 15 years, or in my 15 years experience dealing with resale, new launch, and all sorts of property, nothing comes close to this. This is like all the boxes are checked.
Nice.
And if you can get a unit at, let's say, 2,500, 2,600 per square foot, I can tell you guys, it's going to be a steal. So how do we get that? I also will share how can you increase your chance of getting a unit at Thomson Reserve, but that is for the next episode. So in conclusion, once again, for those of you who has been considering Thomson Reserve and you feel confused when you listen to people talking online about at 2,800, 2,900 per square foot, you buy Thomson Reserve, you must well buy a CCR properties like Union Square, Dunning House. Come on, all right? It's absolutely no fight at all. Think twice, because the biggest problem for all these properties is not the pricing. The biggest challenge has been the exit strategy. So once again, happy National Day, guys. If you are overseas, please enjoy yourself. If you're in Singapore, just go out there, enjoy the fireworks, have fun with your family for the long weekends, and we will see you in our next video where we will be talking about areas that locals tend to favor and areas that locals tend to avoid, and why is that so, and of course tons of videos in regards to Thomson Reserve leading to the launch itself. See you guys.